All right, so we're diving into the US30 Index today, Tuesday, March 25th.
Yeah, looking at a whole bunch of market data, some analyst predictions. Oh, and the economic calendar, too.
Yeah, you gave us a lot to work with, so what we're going to do is sift through it all.
Cut through the noise
Yeah, exactly. Cut through all the noise and give everybody the insights they need.
to really understand what's moving the market today.
So we'll cover the pre-market action, all the big economic reports coming out.
Oh, and we'll even look at how stuff happening globally could, play a role, too.
Yeah, consider this your express lane to figuring out today's trading landscape, all right?
All right, so we see the market trying to find its footing right now.
Trying to figure out where to go next.
Exactly, after a pretty big jump up yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But now we've got all this economic news coming out that could really shake things up.
Yeah. All right, let's get right to it then.
Let's do it.
Where are we right now?
Well, the CFD price is hovering around 42557.2. Now, we also see this other number, 42563.9, with a note saying, market is closed.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was probably yesterday's closing price, wasn't it?
Most likely, yeah.
And yesterday was quite a day, wasn't it?
Quite a day, yeah.
Big swings all over the place.
Yeah, we hit a low of 42148.2 and a high of 42594.7. So
Wow.
that tells you right there how volatile things have been lately.
Gives you a sense of, what we could be in for.
Exactly. And remember, most of the action happens during those NYSE hours, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Right, the core trading session.
Yeah, so that's what we really want to focus on, right?
Absolutely. That's where things can really heat up.
Now, what's interesting to me is that little dip we're seeing from yesterday's close in that CFD price.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not a huge move,
But it's something.
but it is something. It suggests maybe a little overnight movement.
Yeah, it sets the stage, doesn't it?
It does. It's like, all right, is this a sign of things to come?
Right. Will that volatility stick around once the opening bell rings?
Exactly. And speaking of things that could get the ball rolling,
Oh, yeah.
we've got an economic calendar today that is absolutely packed.
Oh, it's a busy one.
Busy day. So first off, at 9:45 a.m. Eastern, we've got the S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index.
The PMI, yeah.
PMI, yeah. And we're going to get flash readings for both manufacturing and services.
So these basically tell us, how healthy business activity is, right?
Exactly. Are companies expanding? Are they hiring?
Right. Are they optimistic or are they hitting the brake?
Yeah, and the last readings we got were surprisingly strong, actually.
Yeah, beat expectations by a good margin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did. So today's numbers, they're really going to tell us if that momentum is continuing or if things are starting to cool off a bit.
All right, so that's a big one to watch.
Yeah, a big one. Now, before that, at 9 a.m. Eastern, we get the Case-Shiller Home Price Index for January.
So that'll give us some insight into the housing market, right?
Yeah, are home prices still rising? And if so, how fast?
Important stuff, especially with those interest rate hikes we've been seeing.
Exactly. Then at 10 a.m., it's a doubleheader.
Oh, boy.
We're getting new home sales for February.
Which expectations are for them to rise, I think.
Yeah, the forecast is for an increase, so that would be another positive sign.
Right, but then we also get the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index for March.
Yes, and that one is actually expected to drop.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, isn't it?
It is. So that predicted dip in how consumers are feeling, that's something we definitely want to keep an eye on.
For sure, because, if consumers are feeling less confident, they're going to spend less, right?
And that's the worry, right? And that can have a ripple effect on the whole economy and ultimately on the companies that make up the US30.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the market digests all this information,
Weighing the potential good news on housing with that dip in confidence, yeah.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
It is, and as if that wasn't enough to keep us busy, we've also got a whole bunch of Federal Reserve officials giving speeches today.
Yes, the Fed speak.
The Fed speak, so their comments, especially anything about inflation, with all these trade talks going on, that could really move the market, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Their words carry a lot of weight.
Yeah, especially now, with everyone trying to figure out what the Fed's going to do next with interest rates.
So pay close attention to what they say, especially any hints they drop about their outlook on inflation.
Yeah, any little clue could send traders scrambling.
And any signals about future interest rate policy, that's the big one, right?
Absolutely, that's what everyone's waiting for.
Now, you might recall the market had a pretty big rally yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was a good day.
A good day for the bulls.
Yeah.
Fueled by, optimism around those trade policy discussions.
Right, people were feeling hopeful.
Hopeful, yeah. But we look at the pre-market futures for the US30 this morning. Across a few different sources, it seems like there's a slight downward trend.
Hmm.
Yeah, not a huge drop or anything, but it does suggest that maybe the market's taking a bit of a pause.
Like it's catching its breath after that big run.
Exactly, waiting to see if today's data confirms that optimism or throws a wrench in the works.
All right, so a little bit of hesitation in the pre-market makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. After a move like yesterday's, it's natural for the market to kind of step back and reassess.
All right, now zooming out a little bit, European markets, they generally had a positive day yesterday.
Yeah, they did, so that could offer a little bit of support.
A little bit of a tailwind, maybe.
Yeah, but over in Asia, it was a mixed bag.
Some up, some down. Yeah.
So it really feels like what happens here in the U.S. today, that's going to be the main driver.
The domestic news is going to be front and center. Yeah.
Well, we always want to keep an eye on what's happening globally.
Mm.
You know, those economic reports and those Fed speeches, they're likely to steal the show today.
Yeah. And let's not forget the big picture here.
The big picture, yeah.
Those trade policy discussions, those are still ongoing.
Still a major factor.
A major factor, absolutely. And then we also had an earnings report this morning from McCormick & Co.,
Yes, the spice company.
the spice company, and their profits were down.
Oh, and that's...
They missed expectations, which, caused their stock to fall in the pre-market.
Yeah, that's never a good sign.
So that could be a hint that maybe there are some broader concerns out there.
Yeah, it gives us a little peek into how companies are navigating this current economic environment.
And maybe a sign that consumer demand isn't as strong as some people thought.
Exactly. Some things to ponder there.
So bringing it all together, what can we expect as the day unfolds?
Well, it looks like we might see an initial period of consolidation.
Things kind of moving sideways here.
Yeah, maybe even a slight drift downwards. But those economic data releases, especially that consumer confidence number, those are the wild cards.
Yeah, those could really shake things up.
They could, so expect the most volatility right around those release times as the market tries to digest the numbers and figure out what it all means.
Makes sense. Got to wait and see how that data comes in.
Exactly. Now, in terms of levels to watch.
Yeah, give us some guideposts.
We're looking at potential support around that low we hit yesterday, 421, 48.2.
Okay, so that's a level where buyers might step in.
Yeah, could be. And then on the upside, resistance could come in near that high from yesterday, 425, 94.7.
All right, so a potential range to keep in mind, maybe somewhere between 4270, 250, and 422, 650.
Yeah, something like that. But, remember, the actual news is going to dictate where we go.
So those are just rough estimates.
Exactly. Just some general guidelines. Be prepared for those ranges to be tested, though, especially if we get any big surprises in the economic data.
Right. Those surprises can really throw things for a loop.
They can. That's the fun part.
The fun part, yeah, keeps things interesting. So as you navigate the trading day today, remember that push and pull we've been talking about?
They'll push and pull.
Between the optimism from yesterday and the potentially more cautious signals from today's economic data, especially that consumer confidence forecast.
Right. And don't forget, those Fed officials will be adding their 2 cents as well.
Yeah, their words could really shift the sentiment in the market.
They could, so it's a lot to keep track of, but hopefully this deep dive has given you the key things to focus on.
Exactly. And as you watch it all unfold today, what strikes you as the most important piece of information?
Yeah, what stands out?
And think about how that potential drop in consumer confidence might affect how the market reacts to any positive news we get in the PMI or the housing sectors.
Yeah, because sometimes it's those unexpected relationships that can really reveal the most interesting market dynamics.
Absolutely. The connections, that's where the real insights are.
So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open today, folks. It's going to be an interesting one.
For sure. All right. That's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll catch you next time.
See you.